So Sammy, earlier you were kind of pushing Michael a little bit on the topic of, yeah, but did you actually do the work necessary to be a made man? You kept pushing him on it, pushing him on it, pushing him on it. Let's just say it never happened. What's wrong if he never did that and if he never killed someone? Isn't that an honorable thing if he didn't?
The books in the Mafia were closed from 1955 to approximately 1975.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys who did work, gave beatings, did all kinds of things for the Mafia. And they waited their turn to become a made member in the Mafia. So if he never did anything, he's actually taken somebody's slot. Somebody who deserved that position. It's not his fault. I'm not saying it's his fault. But that's why I took a little bit of that position, that there's nothing wrong with it. His father was a heavyweight, and he proposed him. And he has that clout, that right to do that. But I felt when a guy all his life, we don't just make people. There's a process. They know who your mother is, your father is, your brother is, your sister is. They examine what you did. How were you in school? When you got arrested, how did you react? What did you do? When you were asked to do something, did you do it? Do you do it efficiently? Are you honorable? Are you loyal to your friends? They take all of these qualities. And it takes years to develop who they're gonna make. They don't just make guys that easy.
Michael, so maybe I'm going to ask a pointed question to you that Sammy's been hinting at. Did you ever kill someone as a made man?
Well, Patrick, let me tell you this. I learned a lot of things from my father. And one of the things he taught me early on that was very helpful to me, he said, Michael, if you and I committed a crime, no matter what it was, he said, 1 minute after we commit that crime, if you ask me about it, I'm going to say, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Taught me that. As a result, I never got caught on a tape. I always knew when to keep my mouth shut. In all due respect to Sammy, he doesn't know what I did or I didn't do. That's number one. Number two, I don't have immunity for the things that I did in my life. None. I don't have any immunity. If I did or I did not, I wouldn't be talking about it no matter what. So, but I will tell you this. When I took that oath, I earned it. And throughout my years in that life, when I was told to do something, I did it. And I'm going to leave it at that.
I don't expect you to say anything that would harm you or put you in prison. But one time you said that certain people talked about you, said things. So keeping your mouth shut is a good quality. John should have had that quality to keep his mouth shut. He didn't. I don't knock you for that. But I answer you that that's why some of these people may be complaining or saying something about you. Because maybe they feel you haven't. And they're not cops, they're street people. They have vast knowledge of who did what. I don't have those same people knocking me. I told the truth, whatever it is, however the cards fall. And if you did, more power to you. I'm not the guy who's knocking you, and I think you know that.
I do.
But what I say is that if these people who are supposed to know, when it comes to that, and if they didn't know, then you got in under false pretenses. You did it. I'm gonna give you that. I'm not gonna call you a liar. But then they didn't do their homework because they put you in before somebody else. That's not an answer to an administration.
Sammy, you're assuming that it never happened. And what I'm saying
I'm not assuming anything. I'm assuming
you
that...
Just said, wait a minute. You just said they put me in under false pretenses. How do you know that? As a matter,
I'll tell you what.
No, let me tell you something. If you didn't talk about what you did, I'd never know it. You didn't go around bragging to people before circumstances changed in your life. Hey, I did this, I did that, I killed this guy. I never heard that on the street. Let me finish. I always heard you were a tough guy, a stand-up guy. but I never heard about specifically what you did because I don't think you talked about it. And other people shouldn't have been talking about it then too. The same way, whatever I did, I'm not talking about it. And if anybody else is talking about it, they shouldn't be.
I get that. I get that. And you're right. I didn't talk about my crimes with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. But a boss, an administration, I was the underboss. A boss, an underboss, and a consigliere has to know these things. According to the Cosa Nostra rules, they must know. That's why we pass a name around. When you get made, your name went to every 4 to 5 families.
That's right.
Michael Franzese is going to be made. The boss, the underboss, the consigliere, give it to the caporegines. Caporegines give it to some of the crew members who are made. So that anybody who knows anything about you could put in, this is what he did. We don't want him to be made.
That's right.
Or, this is what he is. Sammy was a street guy, I know everything he did. I don't have no proof of what he did, but I know what he is. I know when he got arrested. I know how he conducted himself many, many times. So it's not every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and I agree with you. If we kill somebody and somebody else was supposed to get rid of the body, I don't even ask him. Is it gone? Yeah. I don't ask him, where did you bury it? That's why they can't find Jimmy Hoffa and so many people. Because we're tight-mounted when it comes to that. But there is people who know that he's dead. And there is people who know who killed him and where they buried him.
That's right.
That's a necessity. And here's how it's a necessity. That FBI agent, Donnie Brasco, they didn't ask those questions. And what happened? It destroyed half of the Gravano family. People went to prison because we did not know who the fuck he was, where he came from, what he did. So it makes it a necessity to know.
And I agree with everything you said, sir.
Okay, good. And if you don't say you did anything and you want to keep that secret, that's okay with me. Me. Even as the underboss. But my decision would be no. If you want Michael Franzese made, I don't know anything negative about him. Let's put him on the side until his turn comes.
And that's if you had no idea what I did or what I didn't do.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
What I'm saying, that's my job to know.
Let me just clarify. So you're saying that if my name was passed around to all 5 families, which it was, we know that, and I got made, then they must have made a decision to make me for the right reasons.
The decision, in my opinion, and what I heard, was because your father, Sonny Franzese, who was the underboss, who was wrongly convicted on something, wanted to do him a favor. So you could take care of your father's businesses or business transactions or money on the street. Not just an associate, but a made member, which would give you the power that an associate don't have. So they did that. They did that.
Did they do the same for Junior's son and Colombo's son?
Absolutely.
And all the sons that I know, so that, in your opinion or what you're saying, none of us earned the right to be made? We just were...
No,
we
you
didn't do the
said
work,
you got
it was
made
just
in
a favor?
1975.
Correct.
The books were closed for 20 years.
Correct. I was proposed with guys who were waiting 20, 25 years. That's true.
So was I.
Yes.
But I didn't get in 75. Frankie Chico did, some other guys. I didn't get made. Well, let me tell you what happened. The books were closed until 75.
Correct.
So tons of guys were waiting.
Mm-hmm.
They decided, the commission, to make 10 guys in each family. Let's see how it goes. So they opened up and they made 10 guys in each family, kept that pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I was super close with Frankie Chico. I didn't know right away he even got made. What happened is it went pretty good. In 1976, they said, no problems, it went pretty good. So let's open it again and do it every year. I was made in 1976, not on the first batch, on the second batch. So 10, 20, 25 people went in before me. I had a pretty heavy record. I was young. I was only 31. Guys were saying, wow, Sammy, how old are you? 31. You went in front of a hell of a lot of guys. I said, well, I don't make that decision. And that's what it is. You were 24,
That's right.
you said.
Yeah, 75.
In 75, you were 24 years old. And you went in on the first batch.
I did.
So my point was that you went in and took someone's spot who was waiting years.
No, that's not true. I'll tell you why. Because for 2.5 years prior to that, I was on call every day to do whatever work they asked me to do. As was, let me finish, as was Persico's son, Mike Bombada, as was Anthony Colombo, and a lot of guys who were sons of guys that were made already. But we had to do what we were told to do. They didn't just go say, hey, because your
What did
father,
Anthony
come on in.
Colombo and what did Carmine Persico's son do?
I'm going to answer you the same
I'm
way.
going to tell you what John Gotti's son did. I was at a
Well, I don't know
commission
about
meeting.
John.
Well, I'll tell you
I don't know
what it
about
is.
John.
I was at a commission meeting. Me and John, Chin Giganti and Benny Yates, Vicar Amuso, and Gaspar. And John, I was across the table like I am with you, looked at me and said to Chin, did you hear about my son? Chin looked up and said, I'm sorry to hear that. That's Cosa Nostra coming out of Chin. Who the fuck is your son should get made over other people who deserve it. Now you could do what you want later on. He didn't come out with all my words, but that's what it meant. John looked at me and I shrugged my shoulders as if Chin said what he wanted to say. He had the balls, he was Cosa Nostra, he had the brains to say it. This is people in Cosa Nostra. He told another boss. John was the boss, told another boss. Joe Colombo made two of his sons, Anthony and Joseph. When he was dead, what the fuck happened to Anthony Colombo? You were in the Colombo family, and Joseph Colombo. They were disappeared, literally. Why? Because they didn't even fucking belong. They were nothing. Nobody.
You know what? I'm not going to agree or disagree with that. I have my own opinions of the Colombos. I happen to like them, but I'll leave it at what you said. But there was a lot of guys that were waiting 20 years that didn't deserve to be in that life as far as I was concerned.
But that's before of your concern, but that wasn't your concern. You're not a boss, and I'm the boss, and I'm going to say, yeah, I have a family.
But we have an opinion. And my point is this, you mentioned Chin. Junior, Persico was as tough a guy, as Cosa Nostra as anybody in this life ever was,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He made me. You're not sliding in on the Junior.
I didn't say sliding in.
Well, what I'm saying, it's not a favor at
that
that
he
point.
did a favor to your father.
He did it.
That
let me give you
doesn't
this.
mean that he...
I have to disagree with you. Now, I want to tell you this, and I didn't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. I'm getting released from prison in 1994. I just got out of the hole. I'm getting released. I got 3 months to go. The warden at Lompoc calls me over. He says, Franzese, there's a New York Daily News reporter on the phone. He wants to talk to you. So I'm going to talk to him. Give me his number. I'll call him back. I call him back. He says, Sally Michelto was one of our guys. He says, has turned informant. He's implicated you in 5 murders. You Bombada, Larry Carrozza, and he mentioned 4 other guys. He said, I'm writing a story. What are you going to do about it? I said, he's a liar. I don't know what he's talking about. And that was it. I'm going to tell you this. For 3 months, I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep. I said, I'm going to walk out of here and somebody's on this BS charge, because it wasn't true, is accusing me of 5 murders. I'm going to have a headache. I didn't sleep. As it turns out, later on, Michelto got himself in trouble. They threw him out of the witness protection program. But he implicated me in 5 murders. He's a liar, as far as I'm concerned. What would I say? Of course he's lying. But my point to Sammy is, I didn't know what you did on the street before you told us what you did. And you didn't know what I did. I hope you didn't. Because if you did, then something's wrong with Cosa Nostra. We're not supposed to know what each other did when it comes to something like that. That's it. That's what my father told me. That's what I'll stand by. My father was accused of 40 murders by the FBI. 40 murders. They never named one guy that he murdered, except the guy he went to trial for that he was acquitted of. And my father never talked to me about one of those alleged 40 murders. My father later on, when he was 100 years old, said on tape, I killed a lot of guys. Not one or two, but a lot of
I
guys.
don't know how impressive that is. I don't
It's
think-
not impressive.
I don't
I'm
think
trying to make a-
saying that's some sort
I'm
of
trying to make a
impression. My
point.
son don't know who I killed.
But
I
that's
never
my
went home
point.
and told my daughter or my son
That's
I
my
killed people.
point.
So I don't know what that point is.
The point is that until it became public what you did, nobody knew what you did. The same way nobody knows, I hope, what I did. And that's it. And
Well, I don't
so
know if
the
nobody knew.
debate,
I don't know if nobody knew.
Let me ask this. Maybe here's a question for some of us who are not in the world. So on your end, you're saying his father did him a favor to get him in there because it was his son, right? He's saying he earned the right to be in, right? The one question that this brings up to me is this seems to be a sensitive topic here on both ends. One, a lot of people waited to get in and they were waiting to get the spot because it was closed for 20 years. What is the big deal about being a made man? Yeah, if people are waiting, like if there's a waiting list, I get out of the army. I'm trying to be a firefighter. California had a freeze for firefighters in LA. I couldn't wait for 5 years. So, but I wanted to be a firefighter. Why do people want to be made man? Why is it such a big deal to be a made
I
man
want to
and be on the
answer
list?
something too. I think it's very important. That's a good question, but I want to answer something too. We're basing the whole reason to get into Cosa Nostra because you killed somebody.
No, I'm not.
No, but I'm saying that's the only qualification. There's guys
No,
that
it's not the only- I never said that.
No, but there's guys that kill somebody that didn't belong in that life to begin with, and it was proving itself out. How many guys
Absolutely.
maybe did the work on the
Absolutely.
street, didn't belong in that
But
life?
that's not the issue. You got made on the first batch at 24 years old.
Along with
Under your
Percival,
words
along
that
with
you
this.
never done anything.
No, I never said that. No, what I said is I earned the right to be a part of that life.
Is this kind of like somebody coming out of high school and going into the NBA? Is that kind of how you're looking at it, where somebody should have gone to
Absolutely.
college? Is
Absolutely.
that
That's a good- that's a
okay?
good- that's a good
But
way to
in
do
this
it.
example, just to in this
And
example,
just so you know, LeBron James came out of high school and went into the NBA, and he's
So-
one of the greatest players of all
so what
time.
I'm saying is, if he did come out,
But he's
and-
got credentials to do that, what he was. He was the greatest fucking basketball player ever. But nobody knew what you did. I'm talking about your own administration. You're not the greatest basketball player ever. You're not the best gangster ever.
Who is, Sammy?
Who is?
Yeah, who is? Who is and what qualified
I
them
would
to be
say, I
the
would
best?
say there's a lot of guys who are really good, Cosa Nostra guys.
My father?
Your father, I'll be the first one to say yes. Look what he did. I'm never gonna take kudos away. This guy did 50 fucking years on a plan. He goes in, he comes out, he goes in, he comes out, he never cooperated, never did anything, and he was in on a bad charge. Tough guy. Deserves it. My guy, Tato, I think, in my opinion, I loved him. He was a good guy. There's a lot of guys around the Persicos, I bumped with them. Good guys. And they all did the same shit your father did. Stood up, went the whole 9 yards. That's happened the whole history of Cosa Nostra. Then it fell apart years later.